For we know that all things work together for good, for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestinated, he also called. And those he called, he also justified. And those he justified, he also glorified. And according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us to the adoption of children by Yeshua HaMashiach, to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. And in him we also have obtained an inheritance, being predestinated according to the purpose of him who works all things after the counsel of his own. Predestination. It's a word that challenges many. It has created denominations, and it has divided denominations. Predestination, what does it mean? Is it a reality? Does God have favorites? And how does he choose us before we're born? Let's take a look. The Greek word for predestinated is proorizo. Proorizo. And predestinate, only appears in the New Testament. Now, the concept of predestination exists in the Old, but the word doesn't. So what does this mean for us? Its literal meaning is to be predetermined, foreordained, marked out beforehand. The word predestinated appears in 4 verses written by Paul, 2 in Romans, 2 in Ephesians. The concept, actually though, existed from the beginning. Of Jeremiah it is written, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Jeremiah was planned and marked out beforehand. He was predestinated. Of David it is written, "Your eyes, O Lord, saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before even one of them occurred." Psalm 139. He was foreordained, as well as his name was written in a book before he was ever born. What book? What does this mean? There are many books in which the Bible references, but they do not explain what these books are. We know that in Revelation that the books were open at the judgment seat. But the books were also opened in Zechariah at Rosh Hashanah, or the Feast of Trumpets. It's the Book of Remembrance is one of the books. The ancient writings from the Talmud, references in Jasher, and other books that are not included in the canon of the Bible today, although some of them were previously, talk about the predestination. There are 3 books in particular I want to tell you of today. The book in which David's name was recorded is the Sefer Hasidim. It was called the Book of the Holy Righteous. These are the righteous people that God predestined before they were born. He had a purpose for them, and he already knew that not only would they be saved, but they would be predestined for the kingdom. The book of the holy righteous implies that those who are predestinated by God from the foundations of the world will surely be saved through the blood of Messiah. Their destinies were predetermined when they were yet unformed in their mother's womb. Jeremiah and David were two men who were indisputably predestined for a divine purpose. Long before Abraham, Job was aware of his own predestination. He wrote in chapter 10, "Your hands fashioned and made me, and now you have destroyed me altogether. Remember that you have made me like clay, and will you return me to the dust?" He was aware of his predestination, and as far as we know, there were no written books of his time. But he knew by the Spirit. Not everyone conceived in the womb is predestined of God. Obvious examples of this include children that are the product of rape and incest. Rape and incest are abominations to God. He is not going to bring forth fruit from these acts, these violent acts of sin, to glorify himself in a purpose. But it doesn't mean that they are cast aside without hope. Pro-life activists like to declare that every child conceived is ordained of God, but Scripture, history, and the ancient writings say otherwise. There is another book in the record called the Sefer Rasha. Now, this is the book of the holy wicked, and it refers to those, their names are inscribed for death from the very beginning of their inception or conception. As is often said, God knows the beginning from the end. He's omniscient. He is aware of which people will never seek the kingdom or accept his plan of salvation. Their names are written in the Sefer Rasha, the book of the holy wicked. The third book that is recorded is called the Sefer Shel Benonim, and it is referred to as the book of the intermediates. Now, what is that? These are the people who are born. They're not entirely righteous, and they're not entirely wicked, but somewhere in between. They were not born with a divine purpose. God did not plan their conception. We have to realize that the way man is conceived today was not the original plan. If you look at the story of Adam and Eve, Adam was formed from the dust of the earth. God breathed the breath of life into him, and he became a living soul. Eve was taken from a rib, and she was given the breath of life. Neither one of these original people came through sexual means. They were not conceived in the way that we see it today. After sin entered into humanity, everything changed. So now children are conceived because people have sex. It does not mean they were ordained from the foundation of the world, that they came with a purpose from God, but because of what Yeshua did at the cross, whosoever will can receive salvation. What a loving God we have. Millions of new covenant people have the opportunity to have their names changed from the book of the intermediates to the Lamb's book of life because of the cross. Scripture does confirm that there are those who selectively are chosen at birth for a divine purpose, and their names are in the book of the holy righteous. Now, they are set apart. I think, if you've read the scriptures, you see them from Genesis to Revelation. God has called them out by name. and you see what their divine purpose was. And there are people alive on the earth today who have been called according to his purpose. That word called in Romans 8:28 that I read in the beginning, we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That word is kletos, and it means invited. He has invited those in the book of righteous for his purposes. He invited Lucifer as well, but Lucifer turned away from his calling. For those whose names have been written in the book of the intermediates, which is most of humanity, destiny is in your hands. The choice is yours. And because of Calvary, you can be saved. But remember that the road is narrow and few there be that find it. So if you want to be part of the book of righteous, if you want to be in the kingdom, it's all up to you. Those who were called according to his purposes from the foundation of the world, before they were ever conceived, they will find their way. But he said, many were called, but few were chosen. Don't be dismayed if you don't think you're one of the called, because of his Son and the divine purpose of the cross, everyone, whosoever will, may come and eat with him and be part of the plan of salvation.